Hey guys, I am doing another quick video on zero turn. I did a video on an Aaron's Icon XD, and that was a 2020 model. This is a 2021 Toro time cutter. This Toro time cutter is considered a smaller yard machine. I'll get into that. But I'm going to give you the specs on it real fast first. So 2021 Toro time cutter. I picked it up, I want to say like May, April, May. I can't remember right as the season was starting to turn up. So, I got $100 off, but I still paid top dollar for it. So this has the Kohler 7000 series, 22 horsepower. Now, I was a fan of the Kawasaki on the Aaron's, but I decided to give the Kohler a try and see where we're going to stand. So, this has the 22 horsepower Kohler. This has the same stamped, or I'm sorry, forged 42-inch cutting deck. Great mower so far. Now, the main things that I was looking for, I'll tell you about real quick, was must have tubular reinforced frame, check. Forged deck, check. Extra cutting lip, check. Not just an extra cutting lip, one that wraps all the way around the deck, check. Very important, because guess what? It's a zero turn. You're going to rub a lot more on the side than you are a traditional lawnmower. So, cutting edge, very important. This cutting edge is quite thick, and if you actually reach your hand under here, it goes back, and it's very, very thick. So it's actually in an L-shaped like that. So it starts in the front and curves back. So it's a curved cutting lip. The Icon might also have that. Not 100% sure. So this is my first partial review of the mower. So I'm going to start with, I'll try to compare between the Icon and this as I go. But keep in mind, the Icon was purchased as a heavier duty, longer term mower, where this was purchased for a smaller yard. This is my property, and with this backyard, and then up to there is about an acre, a little over an acre. But as you can see, I have a ton to mow around. So what I did is purposely bought a smaller mower, something that was more nimble and that I could get through my gates here a lot easier instead of spending a little bit more money getting a bigger one. All right, so real quick, some of the things I want to point out on this that I wasn't a big fan of. Technically two major things. Number one, this mower did not come with an hour meter. And I know you see an hour meter there right now. That's because I purchased the hour meter aftermarket and I installed it myself. Very easy. And it says it has 7.6 on it right now, but I ran it about 2 hours without the hour meter. So this is about a 10-hour review on this mower. So I purchased the hour meter. It was easy. There's a part number online. I purchased it, and there was a pigtail that was behind here that was already wired in, and it was just taped off. This cutout was already there. This sticker was, you could just feel that there was a hole there, and I just cut the sticker out and popped the hour meter in, plugged it in, boom. It works fine. Okay. That was a big problem for me. Why would you not include an hour meter when in the instruction manual it tells you to do things based on the hourage, but there's no hour meter? That turned me off. Not a very big fan. But again, I was set on getting a Toro for some reason. I don't know why. All right, so away from the hour meter, the only other big problem I have with this is, if you look, see how wide open that deck is? When that blade comes around, you can see the blade, it's right there. When that blade comes around, it is, look at that. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. So that was bigger than the hour meter problem for me. But obviously you have to keep a chute on it. So the chute stays. On the Aaron's, the chute I flip up, throws the grass better. So on this, that's a problem. those are the two biggest complaints I have about the mower. Honestly, two biggest complaints right there. The hour meter was an extra cost. This mower went for $2,800, brand new. I paid a little over $3,000 with everything, and that's where I stand. Smaller mower, no armrests, your typical zero turn frame, as you can see. Smaller battery, or actually, believe it or not, a larger battery than the Icon. That was a complaint on the Icon, as the batteries were, too small. Tubular type style frame, your cast iron. This is one of the major components that really, really, really was like a big deal for me that I loved. Was, if you look at that right there, you have an oil drain line. Thank God. Thank God. Not necessarily a big deal, but I tell you what, on the errands, when it's covered in grass and the grass gets packed in here, and then you got to try to clean it and find the hole to shove that tube in, lock it, and then open it, and then it just pisses all over the frame and all over the hydrostats and stuff. It's like, Jesus Christ, come on. This came with a tube. Now I had to bend it around over here. It's rubber. When it comes from the factory, they leave it laying here and it rubs on the tire. So make sure you check on that. Again, oil drain tube. Friggin' awesome. One of those things that's not necessarily a real pain in the ass, but when you have to change the oil, it really, really, really makes it uncomfortable, I guess I should say. So that's an improvement. Hydrostats on this, from what I can read, are serviceable if they can be taken apart. They have part numbers, as you can see right on them, so they are easily replaced. Belts are easily accessible. There's not a ton of compartments to reach. A motor is pretty well placed in the frame. Seats, pretty well made durability wise. Okay, it's got cup holders, plastic fenders on the side. The gas tank's not too bad. I think it's a little over 3 gallons, so it doesn't hold a ton because, again, it's a smaller mower. It's a residential. The Smart Control speed system, as you see right here, is definitely unique. So if you are allowing somebody to mow that tends to go faster, you put them in a slower speed. You have your 3 gears there, and then you have your tow in your trailer. So the torque, what it does is it does kind of torque it out a little bit, which is nice. As you can see, I have this trailer load of wood here, and what I'll do is I'll torque the mower out a little bit by putting it in the trailer in the haul mode. And the reason that's beneficial is going to take me to another thing I don't particularly like about the mower, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me upon purchasing it. And that was that it has the regular smaller size tires. So, as you may know, if you've done research on zero turns, these are the 8s. The size there, 18.75 by 8. Okay, as you can see, if you've done your research on zero turns, a lot of people that went with smaller zero turns, they went with smaller tires. They put smaller tires on them. Aaron's did that. Aaron's experimented with the smaller zero turn tires. The number one complaint with the small tires is that they streak. They leave burnouts in your yard. People don't like that. Okay, that's understandable. For me, it's not that big of a deal. I have a relatively wet backyard. I don't mow it when it's wet. But even still, on dry dirt, it will streak. If you're moving quick, but you're moving efficiently and you're not slamming it back and forth, it doesn't streak. Really doesn't. Good little tires. Now, eventually when these wear out or dry rot or whatever the case may be, I will probably go with a bigger tire to eliminate that issue. But for now, it works perfectly fine. So, the torque mode slows that down and puts more torque instead of just speed, brake-free spin. So within the torque mode with the trailer, the mower just runs nice and smooth, and I don't have any issues with it. As far as the deck goes, I'm pretty happy with the deck. It's, as you can see, I'm 230 pounds and I'm standing on it, and there's very little movement. The deck is currently raised all the way up. You'll notice a difference on this one versus a lot of Toro models that you might see at like Lowe's or Home Depot or Tractor Supply. I purchased this one from Tractor Supply because it was the only Tractor Supply in the area that had the particular one I wanted. You may notice some of them have like this gray plate and a spring, and a pedal to raise and lower the deck. I do miss the pedal, and I do wish I had that, mainly because I have a lot of big trees, and it's nice to be able to float that deck over top of those. So it just requires a little more strategically placing of the deck wheel there when you're going over those tree roots to lift the deck properly to make sure your blades don't come in contact with the tree root. But you may notice that this mower doesn't have that, and that's because those mowers are about an $800 difference in price, and they do make them as small as a 42, but the mowers themselves are a lot bigger, a lot heavier duty. Again, I didn't need anything that big, that heavy duty. I could have, but there's no point. So this does not have the My Ride system. With that being said, I'm perfectly comfortable on this machine. I have no problem at all. My son likes to ride on it with me. Sometimes he'll sit in my lap. Sometimes he'll sit down on the floor. He rides on it with me, and we're perfectly comfortable. And I have a very, very bumpy yard. Another thing I really like about this versing the Icon XD is that it does come standard with a tow hitch, which is like awesome. Why would put a tow hitch on there? I mean, it just makes sense. As you can see, it's gotten used. It's very simple, just bolts right on, you know, and again, that's not a big deal. You can buy a $20 tow hitch and bolt it on the Icon, but this one came with it, which was convenient. I was immediately able to come home and hook up my trailer, and I mean, it's just convenient that it's there. It's nice that it's there. The Kohler has the same layout as a Kawasaki engine. It has an electric, it has a fuel pump. The air filter is easily accessible. It's the same motor, other than it's dressed differently. And they say it's made in the United States, or at least assembled in the USA. So I can feel a little bit better about that. Other than that, as far as the mower goes, it does have accessible grease points in the wheels. I really can't see them here. Let me see if I can get around there. Yeah, there you go. Both front casters have accessible grease points. Another thing I like versing the Icon is that these front casters are meant to be unbolted and replaced, which is cool. So you can actually buy a replacement. You can remove the 2 bolts in the front, pull the entire caster unit out and replace it. You can also just replace the wheel unit. These casters on these zero turns take a really hard beating. So what happens is you end up getting yourself a really nice zero turn, a heavy duty frame, a heavy duty deck. You got yourself a good strong motor, and then what happens is the casters, they wear out and they just become shit. And then you know, the older ones, you'd have to press bearings into them. You know, they're just a pain. So with these, they're replaceable as one unit. It's like throwaways, essentially. I'm sure you can repack them, rebuild them if you want to, but you know, for a reasonable price, by the time these wear out, I'm sure it's something I can buy on eBay for under $100. All the belts are easily accessible and maintainable. I have not tried to drop the deck yet. That'll be eventually the next thing I do, maybe before winter. I'm gonna spray some fluid film on the bottom of the deck to prevent it from rusting. So maybe before winter, we'll see. But I have not tried to drop it yet. That'll be the next major thing. So all in all, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I'd like to see what you guys think about this mower and what your experiences are versing the Toro Time Cutter, versing the Aaron's Icon XD. I would say, well, what would you think about this compared to, you know, the ZTR, the Cub Cadet? But I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think the Cub Cadet even can fall in the same class as this mower. I believe that Cub Cadet is made way cheaper than any of these mowers. You know, Cub Cadet and John Deere have just kind of, they've become a name and not a quality. So I wasn't sure about Toro when I bought the Aaron's Icon XD, and so far I'm liking where I'm at. I'll know more as it gets older. So drop in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you own a Cub Cadet? Do you own a John Deere? You know, Cub Cadet, I can't really say much about John Deere, but Cub Cadet, all their decks are stamped. They're junk. They're rotting out. They're loud. Big complaint I hear about riding on a Cub Cadet is it's just stupid loud. That's why I went with either the Toro, one with the Aaron's, Aaron's Icon first, and then the Toro, so I can compare. And so far I'm happy, but And drop in the comments your thoughts if you have a Cub Cadet. I personally think that the decks are cheaply made. I believe the units themselves are cheaply made. It's just how I feel. So this is again a 2021 Toro with the 7000 series 22 horsepower engine assembled in the United States, chassis assembled in the United States. Smaller unit, smaller for yard work, smaller for residential use. If you live where you have an acre, maybe two, this is perfect, and you can even get a bigger deck. I purposely bought this one with the small deck because it fits my lifestyle. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. I'd love to read some comments about Cub Cadet, John Deere, your experience with the Toro or an Aaron's. Let me know what you think, because personally I like the Toro. I like the Aaron's. Oh, one last thing, one important thing I want to tell you guys just real fast about the Toro that I like versus the Aaron's is the sticks. When I got this machine, I immediately noticed that these sticks are way more responsive and way more tighter to the responsiveness of the driver. The Aaron's, the sticks are more sloppy. There's more movement back and forth without movement on the machine. The Toro is tight steering. It's there, it's responsive, and it is very, very tight. And I like that. I appreciate that. I feel like I have more control over what it's doing. So, with that being said, I'm happy with my purchase, and guess what? I don't regret my purchase of the Icon either. It's still a great machine. That Icon's pushing like 60 hours right now, so it's still young. I'm interested to bring you guys some more videos as years go on, because I mean, we don't go out and spend $3,000 on a mower to buy a new one every 2 or 3 years. Let's be honest. Some of you guys might do that, but majority of us don't. We spend $2 or $3,000 on a mower, and we want to get 5 years out of it at least. So let's see some comments about your mowers, what you have, your experiences, Cub Cadets, John Deere's, whatever you have. Thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to. There's a bunch of content. I don't just do mowers. I do four-wheelers. I do trucks. I do everything. So if there's anything in particular you have questions about, feel free to ask me. I've got a service manual for it too, so if I can help you guys out at all, I'd be more than happy to. Thanks again, and have a good one.